Hello everyone. I am sitting in one of my favorite spots in Lower Hamlet, next to a stream in our forest. Perhaps tens of thousands of people have been through this forest, and in the past, Tay has also led the Sangha on many walking meditation sessions through this forest and also along this stream. So today I thought I would sit here to soak in that energy of mindfulness, concentration, and insight that Tay and the thousands and thousands of practitioners have left behind in this forest. Sitting here, I do remember Tay's gentle footsteps as he treaded these paths. And I do remember his freedom and his solidity while he was sitting at the foot of the trees in this forest. At this moment, I feel very grateful to be able to sit out in nature and to have an opportunity to enjoy being in nature. I don't have a bell with me today, so perhaps we can spend a few moments to come back to our breathing and to enjoy the sounds of the forest. You might hear the rustling of the leaves as the wind passes. Some birds singing. It's almost sundown, so the birds are offloading everything that has happened to them today. So you can hear them chirping, singing to each other. So in lieu of the sound of the bell, perhaps we can take a few moments just to enjoy the sounds of the forest and to come back to our breathing. And as you are coming back to your breathing, please know that at this moment, as we are breathing, as we are listening to the sounds of the forest, albeit even though it's just through a speaker or a screen, that many people are also enjoying their breathing at the same time with us. So we're not so alone at this moment. I hope you were able to experience a few moments of calm and relaxation through your breathing and also the sounds of the forest. I wanted to take some time today to share some of the practices that I have been doing in the last few weeks. Much of it I already shared in the beginning, basically about drawing on the strengths of those who have come before us. I've really taken refuge in that practice in the last few weeks, remembering the strengths of my ancestors, my blood and spiritual ancestors, as well as my plant and animal and mineral ancestors. Because I know that at this time, I can get easily overwhelmed by all of the news that I'm hearing and seeing around me, as well as on TV or on the radio or on the internet. So the last few weeks I've really taken refuge in, you can say, the strengths of my ancestors. So I've been bringing up many different memories of moments when, moments of calm, of peace, of stability, from my family members or from Tay, or different stories about our patriarchs throughout history. A very good memory I have is one of my father. I remember in Florida it was hurricane season, so we were in the house, and it was nighttime and all the shutters are up already. So it's extremely dark in the house, and there was a blackout and a power outage. And my father, he was sitting at the dinner table. He was actually having his dinner. And when the lights came out, I remember my mother and my sisters and my brothers, everyone was scrambling about trying to look for candles or flashlights. And so when the lights finally came back on, my father, he was still having his dinner, as if the lights never came off. And he was very calm, and he just continued and carried on with eating dinner. And so the last few weeks, that image of calm and stability has really come up over and over again for me. And I really take refuge in it. And when I remember it, I remember to also come back to myself, and to come back to that calm, to be able to remember that I can be imperturbed even amidst the storms. So anyhow, one day when I was doing this practice and drawing on the strengths of my ancestors, I was doing walking meditation from the meditation hall back to my room. And I thought, oh, there's so many people who have come before me, who have gone through so many tragedies, war and famine, and I was just wondering how they were able to get through all of that. They must have had some kind of strength to move through all of that. Of course, not everybody, not everyone, but there are those who were able to survive all of those disasters and crises in history, and survive it well. And so, as I had that thought, I looked down and I saw this stone. I don't know if you can see it. It looks like a footstep. And I thought, oh, the ancestors are truly practicing with me right now. And they've left their mark on the land, and also in my consciousness. So I picked up this stone, and perhaps this is something that I pass by every single day, but I never paid attention to it because it wasn't in my consciousness. But that day, as I had that thought, then this just became very apparent. So I picked it up and I put it in my pocket. And now every time I need to draw on the strengths of my ancestors, I just take it out and I hold it in my hand, and I have some memory of a compassionate act or some action that I am sitting in a different location today because my sharing yesterday was interrupted, but I still have my rock with me right here. And as I was saying, we need to be able to draw on the strengths of our ancestors. Each time we're able to remember an incident where they were compassionate or kind or forgiving or calm or peaceful or generous, then we're also able to keep these energies alive within us. And I know that in the coming days or weeks or months, the world, perhaps more than ever, will need our calm, our clarity, our peace, our compassion, our generosity. And so, for each one of us, for each moment that we're able to keep these energies alive in us, we become stronger, not just as individuals, but also collectively. And we know that we will need this strength in order to be able to look at some of the things that perhaps we've been too afraid of to look into before, like our own death or the death of our loved ones, or at uncertainties about our job, our home, or our future. And so, if we're able to look at our fears and our anxieties through the eyes, the wisdom, the experiences of our ancestors, we gain a new perspective, and we can have a better understanding of what it is that we really need to do right now. For instance, for me, looking at my own death, I definitely know that there are, I really need to practice in order to reconcile with some of my loved ones, to also be able to express my gratitude to them, also to express my love, and to be able to reassure them that I've lived a good life, and that I also want to be able to know that they will also be at, they will also live their life wonderfully and beautifully, even without me in it, for instance. So I have been able to look at my own mortality, and then also the mortality of my family members, and just to know all of the important things that we need to say to each other, things that we never think that we need to say until a certain time. We can say now. We can say now. We can express our love now. We can express our gratitude now. We can reconcile now. And so drawing on the strength of my ancestors has really kind of shaped my practice in the last few weeks. I'm also sitting in the veranda of Sister Gina's hut, and I'm also borrowing some of her strength. I see that in all these years, she's been such a, Sister Gina is the most senior sister in Lower Hamlet, and she's been such an inspiration for me. And I see every time I witness her go through a difficulty, or witness her navigating a difficulty in the community, she's always been able to done so with so much dignity and grace. And so I'm borrowing that from her. I'm remembering that, so that as we move through this time of difficulty, I can draw on that, on those memories as well. And also, one very special thing about her was she was also very simple. And I've traveled with her before, and every time I traveled, she had very, very little in her suitcase or her backpack. So remembering those things, I know that, like looking at uncertainty in the future, I know that I can also live off of very, very little as well. I can be much more simple, and at the same time be happy. So it's been quite helpful for me to remember all of these things, all of these qualities in the people around me now, and also in the people in my past. So it's a part of me practicing also appropriate attention. I know that it's such an important practice right now, appropriate attention. I feel we need to be able to remember the goodness, not just of our ancestors, but also to remember the goodness, all of the goodness that's happening in our world right now. I've been quite inspired watching videos of Italians singing from their windows or their balconies and having like a mob singing, from different, from their different apartment buildings, etc., playing music, encouraging each other. Also, I've been very moved receiving messages or seeing videos of people clanging on pots and pans to cheer on the healthcare workers as they go home in the evening. Many different things like that. So I feel on the one hand we are going through quite a huge challenge, a huge crisis, but on the other hand we also see so much of the best parts of humanity coming out as well. And I think it's quite important for each one of us to be able to contribute to that and to keep the best of each of us alive. And so that has been my practice for the last few weeks. I wanted to share with you. So just to recap, we're not alone. There are thousands and thousands of people practicing with us at this moment, and also the whole world is going through this with us at the same time. So any experience that we have going on right now, we know that we have camaraderie, we have solidarity. Secondly, we can draw on the strengths of our ancestors. So do you have a memory of your father or your mother or your grandfather, your grandmother, your family, your siblings, other land, mineral, animal, plant ancestors, a memory of them at their best? Please do share with us as well, so we can share in some of those qualities and to be able to keep those qualities alive within us. And third, that we can practice appropriate attention. At this moment, it's quite important for us to remember the goodness that is there in the past, as well as all the goodness that is there in the world right now. And in doing so, we continue to keep these things alive. We continue to cheer each other on, and we continue to be there for one another and to help each other be the best that we can be, moving on. So thank you so much for your practice and just for being there.